I want to bring in a guest. He's been on the show before. We've got some important tips I think that you might want to know, and this goes beyond some of that surface stuff about, bundle up and things like that. But from MU Health, I want to bring in emergency room doctor, Dr. Christopher Sampson. Dr. Sampson, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on again.
And thanks for being here. I appreciate you coming out in the cold. And again, it's always a good reminder, especially I'm thinking, when I used to be a young buck, I don't need any gloves. I'm just, I'm walking from here up to drop some mail into the post office box. It's only going to be like 3 minutes. When it's cold like this, it does not take long to have some serious potential effects.
For sure. With weather like this, we can see frostbite developing in under 30 minutes, especially with the wind chill today.
So what is it like when somebody thinks, okay, my fingertips got cold, and some of the things I've noticed before, it's like, man, they're cold, and then they almost like burn or they itch. Let's talk about like fingertips, nose, ears, things like that. Like, seriously, what are some things that people want to start watching out for when they start feeling, what sensations would they experience if they're starting to have some issues?
Sure. Well, the first thing you sometimes can develop, it's called frost nip, and that's where it just kind of gets, like you said, it's a little painful, might feel a little bit numb, but then when you start feeling that warm feeling and it becomes more painful, that's often the sign that frostbite's developing. And a lot of people that worry about sort of any of the exposed areas. I mean, we always talk about the nose and the ears and the fingertips, but when it's very, very cold like this, and if you're outside for extended periods of time, you can even see it on the cheeks, anything that's exposed to the wind, because it's sort of as the wind blows, it takes the heat away from the skin and then creates the damage that causes the frostbite.
Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. 641, 19 before 7. Emergency room doc, Dr. Christopher Sampson, MU Health, is joining us on the show. So obviously it's about the layers. Like I am in just here in the studio this morning, long sleeve tee, and then a little like a fleece jacket, and then a hoodie on over that. So it's about layers. It's about being careful while being outdoors. And I know you're not a veterinarian, but animals too, man. We got to watch out for those.
For sure. I have 2 dogs, so but you definitely, this is not the time for dogs to be outside or any animal. They really they can suffer the same things as humans, and so it's good to have them indoors today as well.
Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle, 642.
So another thing with this cold weather, we always want to blame being sick on the cold, and it's going to be like almost 60 degrees this weekend as I'm out in the lobby coughing. But it's really not because of the cold. It's because maybe we don't take the precautions to wipe our hands or
put
wash.
Your jacket on, you'll catch cold out there. Right?
Exactly. That's a common thing our mothers used to tell us. Is that true? Because of the cold we get sick, or is it because we're more inside with other people and we need to again take those precautions?
So again, it's a myth that the cold makes you get sick. I too, when I was a kid, my mom used to tell me too, if your hair was wet and you went outside, you were going to get sick.
You're going to die.
Yeah, but it just happens to be people are probably. It's hand hygiene, so your people are sneezing, coughing, in enclosed spaces, like you said, so things get spread more easily. There's certain conditions we see that occur during both the summer and the winter, but it not being not appropriately bundled up is not the reason you're getting sick.
And here's one of the things I used to do as a kid, and I don't do it now because I've heard things over the years, but I remember coming in and your hands be cold. First thing I do is put them under warm or not hot water, but warm water. Is that a good idea?
So warm water is actually okay. They tell people if you feel like you're having frostbite that it's better to just use warm. You don't want hot water because you don't want to potentially injure your hands. But if you need to rewarm either in front of the fire or a little bit of gentle rewarming or with just warm water is good.
Or start with like cold water and gradually warm that up.
Yeah, you don't want to have anything that's going to be boiling or hot where you actually would burn the hand. And sometimes if your fingers, if they're numb, you may not sense that it's hot enough.
Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle, 644, 16 before 7. Dr. Christopher Sampson, ER Doc, MU Health. And then what about in general when it's cold like this, or just winter months in general? What are some things we can be doing? Laura's one of the healthiest people I know.
As I'm sitting here sneezing and coughing, I don't know.
Look at that. She's got like creamed spinach, fennel seeds, kale, and things like that. mixed in oatmeal, so she eats in a very healthy fashion. Some things we can do to protect ourselves in the winter as far as our diet.
So I think in general, it's just good to have healthy eating. That's probably overall the best thing. It's eating and drinking warm items such as soups or coffees. That can kind of warm your body up a little bit too. So that's a nice thing sometimes on a really cold day when you come inside is have something warm. And so that kind of helps a little bit of gentle warming. But yeah, overall, it's probably just the best thing is to just eat healthy in general.
Can we put a little bit of alcohol in our things to warm us up a little bit more?
So I would say in moderation. The one thing is if you drink alcohol in excess, of course, then you can kind of lose sensation and may not even realize the effects of the cold. So sometimes we do see people who get cold exposure because they went outside, got intoxicated, and then didn't realize how cold it was.
What about when it's 6:45 in the morning? Is it okay to put some stuff in your hot tea?
I guess it depends if you're coming off the night shift or if you're...
Let's say you're hosting a highly rated morning talk show. And you're trying to, and then in the studio, in your corner of the studio, it's 58 degrees. Look, there's frost on the windowsill here. You see, I mean, that's how cold it is in here. So what do you say about drinking at 6:45 in the morning in an effort to keep yourself warm? What's your professional opinion, Doctor?
I think anything in moderation is okay.
Right on, Laura.
I like it.
Can we get a note from you before you leave?
The doctor said we can have our hot toddy.
Here's what the doctor said. By the way, you mentioned chicken soup, and I know everybody has a lot of these. Hey, when you get sick, you should be eating this, you should be doing that. And I like the fact that you say, if you're just eating healthy all the time, that's good. But what about people say, well, when you have a cold chicken soup, is there something to that?
I think there's some thought about that. I don't know if it truly has healing properties. I think, again, it's that kind of nice, warm food that when you're feeling sick and you might be feeling a little cold and run down, just kind of boosts you and makes you feel slightly better.
All right. And then, by the way, totally left-hand turn here. I have a listener who works in the insurance agency, and he's like, if we, with these scooters that were like the number one story in town last year, just about, these scooters, somebody, when you get on a scooter, you're signing a release that you don't hold the scooter company responsible for anything that happens to you or what have you. But what happens if I've been wondering, as we were talking about this, what happens if I'm in a car, some kid on a scooter hits me? Scooter company's not liable. Is he liable? Is my car, is my insurance, are they liable? We got to talking about that. And then I got to wondering, did you see over this past summer and into the fall, did you see a bunch, or did you see people coming in injured on scooters?
Oh, yeah. We've seen a fair amount of scooter injuries since they kind of exploded on the scene here. And it's sort of all different injuries. They've actually found that the highest number of injuries are head injuries, unfortunately, because a lot of people, you either hit something, a pothole or a vehicle, and you go flying off and land on your head. Then probably the next thing we often will see are a lot of broken bones. And even some people have had serious internal injuries, just maybe where they've landed on something that hit them in the belly, or the scooter hit them when they're going down. So you can get some pretty severe injuries from these scooters.
Let me ask you this before I let you go. Did the people that suffered head injuries, was there a commonality among those people that suffered head injuries on the scooters?
No, we're just kind of it's mostly just people who came off, they hit something, and sometimes their hands get tangled up, or they just go flying forward and unfortunately hit their head first when they hit the ground.
And then what about, do you find that most people with the head injuries, were they wearing helmets? No? Is there any, and I'm not looking for specific numbers.
No. I think the helmet use has been extremely low. I mean, I think part of that is just because you grab the scooter where it's at and take off, and so I've actually personally never seen anybody riding with a helmet around town.
All right. Dr. Christopher Sampson, MU Health, some tips you can do for to protect yourself in the cold, and some things you can do long term. It's good seeing you again, man.
Yeah, nice seeing you all too.
All right, come back inside. I appreciate you coming out in the cold and coming into the studio, and anything we can do for you, you let us know, okay?
Okay, try and stay warm.
All right, we'll do it. Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.